nights like that. That's hilarious. There's a bunch of them.
I know, I love those. I can't ever find them when I want to actually go see them.
The Hawk is in the house.
Girl, you know it's true.
How's that beard coming,
and or boy, whoever.
What are you doing with that beard, man? You gonna grow that thing, or what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, I'm gonna try. You know what I mean? Because I'm telling you, I could be on the I could be like Tom Hanks on a desert island for 25 years, and this is still what you're gonna get. So this is what it is at this point. This is premium shit right here.
Chris,
this is my 17 o'clock shadow. You know what I mean?
17. We got Chris Thunderwolf Dodson, Tim Johnson. All right, guys, we're getting the party started. We have a live studio audience as well here, so we do have we have somebody hanging out with us live in the background.
What do I win?
What the hell is that?
We'll tell you later. Some homeless person.
We just picked some guy off the street.
This Stu?
No, it wouldn't be that vocal.
Hey,
That's true.
Can we talk about the debates?
No.
That would be his whole thing. He wants to do. I'm like, start your own podcast. Start a political podcast, and
see if you don't get
good,
killed,
buddy. You see if you don't get killed.
I totally go on that. I just like to vent sometimes about shit.
You go right ahead, buddy. That'd be the Keith and Stu show. You guys go right ahead. Bill Damiano.
I just fucking spout anger all day on that thing.
That's what a lot of people are doing, unfortunately. All right, guys. You guys ready to talk us a little bit of rock and roll? We're talking about 80s. The top 10 what the F moments from the 1980s. We are live. We've got Keith the Hawk Hawkins. We've got Lily V6. We're going to go ahead and get the recording started, just making sure everybody's comfortable. Keith, what are you drinking? You got something to drink? You ready to go?
Yeah, I'm drinking. I'm going real heavy tonight. I'm drinking a strawberry daiquiri, which is a very manly drink.
Woo!
He's comfortable enough in his masculinity to drink strawberry daiquiri.
There's nothing wrong with daiquiris.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I just wanted you to know that next week I'll be graduating up to a cosmopolitan.
Oof. Classy. That's classy.
I am actually going to drink it with my finger out like this.
Nice. I have to see it.
And it'll be. Let me just work on my finger technique.
Work on your finger technique. We're going to start the podcast. Here we go.
All
right, guys.
That's a good thing.
That's a good thing. What the hell are we doing? Are we doing a podcast or not? Let's do the darn thing. Okay, here we go. Every decade has its share of WTF moments. On this week's Loudini Rock and Roll Circus, we discuss the top 10 WTF moments from the 1980s. You're listening to the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus, changing rock history one podcast at a time. Everybody, welcome back to the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. My name is Lou Lombardi, a.k.a. Loudini. In the house tonight, we have Lily V6.
What's up?
The Sixer. And we've got Keith the Hawk Hawkins, piped in live from New Orleans. NOLA.
Damn right.
Damn straight, damn right, damn Skippy, and all them damn things.
Ain't no hurricane gonna hit me.
That's right, brother. Hurricanes are for, like, pussies, right?
Only hurricane I seen was a drink going down my throat.
Oh, that's the one that almost killed me when I was there.
I think I was a Sazerac.
No, I didn't have one there.
You didn't have a Sazerac?
Not there.
You got to go back.
Did,
now you got to get on a plane tonight.
I'll work on that.
All right, you're listening to Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. You want to go to LouLombardiRocks.com to get all the info on how you can get become part of a great community of folks that are just as passionate as you are about great guitar-driven rock from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, even today. People in the group sharing music all the time. Plus, you get access to all kind of cool things. There's we started a lesson program, a musicians mastermind, a whole bunch of stuff. So check it out at LouLombardiRocks.com. Want to give a shout out to our longtime sponsor, Wolf's Customs. No reason, Lily. There's no reason at all, right, to get up to do your Zoom concert and be playing the boring-looking guitar that the last 25 Zoom guys did, right?
Yeah, because those guys don't get laid.
Exactly. If you want to get laid, you want a guitar that will get you laid. You want them ladies sending you pics to your phone of their, what's, right?
Hoo-ha.
Or hoo-has, exactly. Then you need to get a hold of Wolf's Customs and get a custom paint job, custom job done on your guitar, ukulele,
Triangle,
swinette, accordion, whatever it is that you play.
Guitar picks,
exactly. You want to go to wolfscustoms.online, ask for Chris Thunderwolf Dodson, tell him that Loudini sent you. And finally, I want to give a shout out to our partners in crime, Rock Rage Radio. We are been part of the Rock Rage Radio family for a couple years now. Great folks. They get us a lot of downloads, and we really love those guys. So please support them at rockrageradio.com. Okay, all that crap is out of the way. Keith, Lily, you guys cool? What's going on? You guys all right? Anything good going on? No?
I had a vacay, so I'm good.
Vacay.
Yeah. Vacay. It was just Ohio, but it was a fun vacay, so.
We're vacationing
I played a gig over the weekend. It rained, and then we were going to play, and then we weren't going to play, and then we wanted to play again. So we ended up playing. It just that's what happens when you play outdoor gigs. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. I played a gig on Saturday as well, and we had a thunderstorm kind of come through very quickly, though. But for the most part, it was good. And because nobody has anything to do, most people stuck around.
Legit.
So very cool.
So there it is.
It's
You're
very
a
cool.
captive audience.
Yeah, and it's the second time we played there, and the second time I ran into people that knew me from like many, many years ago. I'm sitting up there playing, and I'm looking at this guy, and he's looking at me, and I'm going like, I know that dude. I freaking know him. So after we got done playing, he's like, come here. He says, are you Lou Lombardi? I said, yeah. He says, I'm Chris Welsh. And I'm like, Chris, I freaking recognize you. We were in a band in college together.
Wow.
He looks exactly the same. Exactly the freaking same. He's got a different wife, but he looks exactly the same.
The logistics are different.
Yeah. He was engaged to this other chick when we were in college, but good times. So anyway, I had a fun weekend. Keith had a fun weekend. Lily had a fun weekend. We have a live studio audience as well tonight. And how you guys doing over there?
Let me find out. How's everybody doing here tonight? Yeah, we're great.
The live studio audience is ready to go. They're telling me to get on with the podcast. So
That's
here
amazing.
we go.
How about you? What are you paying these poor suckers?
I know.
You like how I threw my voice there?
That was you. All right, good.
Yeah, that was Lily. She's a voice thrower from way back.
Most impressive. You sound just like a couple of dudes.
I have nothing to say to that.
Okay, we're going to come back after a little bit of Love Stallion. We'll be right back on the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus.
One, two, three, go! My stereo's bumping, and I'm rolling dynamite. Your light was on.
Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. No. That's I was just trying to be one of those FM DJs from back in the day.
You're being handsome, Dan.
Yeah. Yeah, we had our share of those in Pittsburgh. Yeah, I think every city did. So anyways, Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. We're talking about the 80s. And the 80s, the 80s were like a whole WTF decade, if you think about
Legit.
it. But, so we picked 10 moments with a few honorable mentions of stuff that happened. And I know Keith said that if we didn't let him say his, that he was going to throw a tantrum and cry. Isn't that what you told me today?
I didn't say that.
What did you say? You said something funny.
I didn't say anything nearly that like that.
I'm going to read your comments.
That. I mean, I think that my comments are, part of the podcast like anybody else. It's an equal thing.
It's a joke.
I don't ever think I'm any
what did
better or
you
worse
said
than anybody else.
Really,
I'm all into equality. I don't know why you're putting words in my mouth.
Oh boy. All right. Calm down, please.
Matter of fact, I'll have an attorney on speed dial, and he'll be talking to you
Here we
later.
go.
His name is Joseph Greenspan. He's going to talk to you later on.
Greenspan. Oh crap.
The Greenstein. I don't know. That's one of the lawyer
Greenstein.
names.
Well, here. I'm going to read. We had a fun conversation about it today. And who was in that video? Because I recognize Billy Ocean and Juice Newton.
I don't know who that other friggin' dude is.
Yeah,
I
I was
really
looking at the guy. So Keith said it's my list, and I'll cry or say what I want to. Say what I want to.
He was trying to
That
sing.
song?
there.
I know you were quoting the song. I got you, buddy. I'm just messing around with you. All right. So, who wants to start?
You want to jump on that?
Keith?
Really? Oh, okay.
No, you don't want to start? Okay.
I can.
No,
start.
I will. I'm always ladies first, dude. But I mean, if you want me to start, I will.
You're going to start.
It's not a problem. I think that when you're in one of the biggest bands of the '80s, and you have platinum-selling records, then you decide to take a little car ride and try to pass cars and lose your arm, and you're the freaking drummer. It's a bum deal. So we're gonna go with Rick. Since I'm a drummer, I'm gonna go with Rick Allen losing his arm, which is a big what the f just happened there in the '80s. So, and then the dude comes back and like kicks ass as a one-armed drummer. So I mean, that's definitely a what happened. But then that ended up being a happy ending for everybody.
Yeah, he did that on my 3rd birthday.
There you go.
When he lost his arm.
Were you like listening to that music?
Yes,
No.
totally at 3 years old. I don't think I was watching Sesame Street. I was watching the news about Rick Allen.
Yeah, she was watching. She was watching MTV.
Yeah, right.
I remember when that happened, and this was the kind of thing that happened because there were other drummers that had mishaps in the '80s, which we'll talk about later. But and I think this is where the cliche of the drummer always, being the guy that dies or gets screwed up or whatever, kind of started, was like, in the 80s. And, I just rewatched the movie This Is Spinal Tap this past weekend. And,
That drummers always die. You can't
yeah.
be a drummer in that band. You're just going to die.
and I think that's kind of where that sort of cliche kind of got started. Luckily, thankfully, Rick Allen did not die. And he did not. He did continue to play as well, but it was dicey there in the beginning, and everybody's like, "Oh, he's done. There's no way you can play drums, minus an arm and everything." And Keith, can you describe like what they did? Because they had to rig something up to make that work so he can play. Can you explain what that is?
Pretty much what I've seen in like the beginning stages of it. It was rough. They could have had anybody they wanted. I'm sure at the time they were like, well, people would have been lining up to have that gig. They could have had, tons of guys way better than Rick Allen. But they had loyalty to their friend. They had a tragic accident, and I think that what happened there is instead of playing acoustic drums like he was before, he set up an electronic kit. And in losing his left arm, he now replaced everything he did with his left arm with his left foot. So now his left foot's doing things that normal folk like me just aren't, I'm not saying capable, but not doing normally. Now his left foot is basically his left arm, and he's just replacing that. So he's playing everything up here with the right hand, ride cymbal or whatever he's doing, and he's doing things incorporating with his left foot, and that had to take him a long time to do. But he got it together, and it's the history after that.
I remember seeing the first music video that they did on the next album after that had happened. And please, for those of you, if there's anybody in the audience that is differently abled, how'd you like that? See?
Way to be PC.
I apologize, but as a kid, 14 years old or whatever, 13 years old, I had it in my mind what a drummer was supposed to be doing and looking like, and seeing the guy play with one arm was kind of jolting at first. Eventually, everybody got used to it. Everybody's like, "Oh, that's Rick Allen."
I think it's pretty cool though.
but in the beginning, I was like, "Whoa, it looks very bizarre." It just looked very.
Well, they
bizarre.
just made the little Def Leppard Pop Funko characters, and they made him without his arm. I thought that was cool that they did that.
Well, yeah, okay. So, I would like to say just that, Def Leppard wrote a lot of great music, and I hope that isn't their only legacies. They had a one-armed drummer. But they have to be the only one-armed drummer in rock, right, Keith?
I think that's a thing, right?
You know any other one-armed drummer?
There was a guy on a website out of Vancouver, Canada called Drumeo, which is like drum nerds like me just watch sometimes. And they had a video of a guy last week who was playing a Slipknot tune with one arm, and he was killing it. He had great feet, and his one arm was doing its thing. But it was definitely the feet has to take over at that point. The odd thing about Rick Allen is, I hate to bring up all the positives, Rick Allen was once arrested for domestic violence against his wife with one arm. He beat the shit out of her with one arm. Pretty good, Rick.
Well, that goes to show you what if
it's very odd. I mean, that's just as a one-armed drummer, he's also enough to throw down on the chick too. He's very, very like Turner of him,
I mean, in a way though, he's to be congratulated because
I knew this.
There aren't many people that can get a domestic violence charge against them with one arm. I mean, once again,
Well, he's just all over the grid with
sarcasm,
accomplishments.
Does anybody out there, people on the internet remember sarcasm? It's a joke. The views expressed on the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus are not necessarily those of the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus.
There we go. Good thing you put the disclaimer.
All right, Lily, let's get off the one-armed wife-beating drummer.
Well, I'm going to go with Alice Cooper, the godfather of shock rock and pro golfer. He traded his alcohol and drug addiction in the 1980s for golf as a part of his rehab plan. Played 36 holes a day for a year, and he always played with club professionals, so he's always playing with somebody who knew what they were doing. He actually has a 4 handicap to this day, and tries to squeeze in 9 holes a day, even on days he's performing. So he's actually really good. He's got his own tournament now, and there's an actual
Alice Cooper Classic, or
something. I can't remember what it's called, and I couldn't find it. But there's a tell-all memoir called Alice Cooper Golf Monster, where he describes how he would get up at 7 a.m. every morning to play golf to beat his demons. So that's sort of you see him in his attire on stage and then golfing.
Yeah.
In his Argyle.
I'm going to say this about him. In the early 2000s, he was in Pittsburgh for a show. And I was working at Nevillewood Country Club, and he came out and played golf before the show in the early morning. And the guy that went out and caddied with him, they were back in less than 3 hours, and he looked at me, and a bunch of dudes were hanging out in the clubhouse, and he was like, that guy's pro level. He was done like that.
Yep.
He's no joke. He just hammered through the whole thing. And so there you go. That's a story. I could back that story up. He's pro level golfer. I'm not saying he's Tiger Woods, but he's Alice Woods, So
Alice
he's
Woods.
close.
Woods.
Sounds like a mom. Alice Woods.
Well, with the housekeeper, Alice Woods.
So I think that's sort of WTF and what? Alice Cooper does what?
Yeah, because golf is recognized as a relatively. I mean, up until Happy Gilmore came out, golf was considered a totally square,
boring.
Square, you know what I mean? What was her name? Rosie O'Donnell says golf is just men in ugly pants walking.
Yeah, I mean that's legit. I used to work the '84 Lumber Classic, and I hated it. It was
but it is a tough sport, and a lot of people. Struggle to get, to be able to do it, and I've heard that it's very, very frustrating.
I'm sure.
Wait, hold on. Rewind that for a minute. Rosie O'Donnell said something about somebody being unattractive. That makes sense.
She's hot, dude. What are you talking about, man?
Yeah, she's hot, all right.
I'm sure somebody out there likes her.
I think that Rosie O'Donnell and Roseanne Barr should do a sex tape together.
Okay. Awesome. I will not be buying that.
I just think I just threw up in my mouth a little bit.
Well, I'm going to go with Alice Cooper, the godfather of shock rock and pro golfer. He traded his alcohol and drug addiction in the 1980s for golf as a part of his rehab plan. Played 36 holes a day for a year, and he always played with club professionals, so he's always playing with somebody who knew what they were doing.
All right, Lily,
The daiquiri coming up didn't taste good, did it?
Nah, not at all. Not after that. Not after visualizing that in my head. Oh, Christ.
This is something that was, I don't know how many of you guys remember this, but was very prominent in my sphere in the 80s. That is a total WTF. And what happened was somehow people got this idea in their heads that there were backwards messages on rock albums that were like trying to tell you to do things.
Mind control.
Unheard of.
Different kind of mind control, satanic messages to, worship the devil, follow Satan. Satan is great, and all that sort of thing. And what's interesting about the subject is there were artists.
Satan's not great.
Satan's cool. Satan is my friend. The interesting thing about it is there were bands that intentionally did that, and you could hear it. ELO has a track with a prominent backwards talking on it. The Beatles had done it, and they had done it as an effect. As a kind of like, just to kind of be weird, to do something odd. But what had happened was I shouldn't say right wing necessarily, but like conservative, evangelical. That's the word I'm looking for. Evangelical type people became very afraid that there were these backwards messages, and people started playing their records backwards. And words don't have this. It's very difficult. And anybody who knows audio will tell you that it's very, very difficult to say something that, like a meaningful sentence, and then when you play it backwards, have it say something that makes any sense backwards. That sounds nearly
difficult.
Impossible. When the Beatles did it, and when ELO did it, and some of these other people did it, I think Pink Floyd has some stuff like that. What they're doing when you hear it in the front way,
the normal way,
and then you hear it playing forward, it sounds like gibberish. And when you play it backwards, then you can hear what it is. Mm-hmm. What these folks were claiming was that you could hear it either way. If you played it backwards, there was some hidden message. And
I don't believe it.
And there was even a very tragic case where two young men claimed that they had heard backwards messages, and they attempted suicide. The one young man did die. The other man survived. Young man survived his injuries for a number of years, and then eventually he succumbed as well. But it was very bizarre, and it became a hysteria, much like certain things that are happening in today's world that we're not allowed to mention or will get blocked, are happening today that are causing people to have hysteria. So I think it's a kind of lesson to be learned. You can look this up on the internet if you guys want more information about it. It was the backwards masking scare. It happened in the 80s. So check that out. Were either one of you guys familiar with that? Or do you guys know about that?
Oh, I know about it.
You're talking about the Judas Priest trial, right?
Well, that was one of them. That was
That's
just
the big one.
That was like
that was
one.
the whole but Judas Priest was on. I mean, they used to have it on MTV. Judas Priest on trial, like they were like they were freaking serial killers or something. You know what I mean? They were there in suits, and they got the long KK gowning, and Glenn Tipton got the long hair, Ian Hill, and Rob Halford just they're all just sitting there with these like blank expressions on their face. And the two kids that killed themselves were, let's blame Judas Priest because they were whacked out of their mind on drugs. I mean, it's one of them things where you got to blame somebody, I guess. And that trial dragged on for a while.
It did, but it was also a scare, and people were doing things like burning rock albums and things like that because they were just convinced that there was these subliminal messages that were, influencing people to do nasty things. And it was a whole thing where, rock was considered to be the bad guy in, any kind of bad thing that happened, were they listening to rock music? In the 90s, it was video games, right?
Yeah.
We can talk about that when we do our 90s thing. It seems like there's always this thing that, people would get, Zant's not crazy
something in the
stuff.
media is always causing
a
a
lot
stir.
of something that people don't realize that in the 30s, whenever there was some kind of riot or something would happen, the newspapers would blame it on the new jazz. So musicians were always getting crap for this sort of thing. do we want to do it? Let's do one more, then we'll play a song.
That goes to Keith.
Keith.
Well, on this one, I'm going to go with a. I don't know if it's so shocking or like, but it is definitely a WTF. If I was there, I'd have been like, what the F is going on here? This is Red Hot Chili Peppers playing Sock Man as in a strip club in L.A. I think this was happening in like 84, so this was early on in their career. And they were like that, California funky. I wouldn't go as far as, I've heard people label them as metal sometime, but I don't think they're a metal band, but definitely a funky rock band. And especially in the early days, they were definitely a lot more funkier than they are now. But at one night during an encore playing at a strip club in LA, they went on stage as what they would refer to as Sock Man, which with socks on their man parts. So they rocked out with their man parts out. And basically, Sock Man was one of the WTF moments of the 80s for me, because I'd have been, if I was there for that, I'd have been like, what the hell is going on here? But yeah.
They had jock socks.
Then it went on to be a mainstay of their live show for a while, I guess, actually, after that, which I didn't know. But
I tell you what, I love playing live, but I don't think I could be comfortable on stage with just a sock over my junk.
Come on.
No, I couldn't either. I mean, I hold
You have
two
a whole
sticks
drum
underneath
kit covering you, though. Come on.
Plus, I really just don't know that gifted where I could.
How did they hold?
that sock.
How did the sock stay on?
You pulled it
I
over
think it
the
was
balls and it just stays, right? Like, that's how you do the ones in the tanning bed. Oh, we don't know about
You're
that.
jumping around on a stage. You're not laying in a tanning bed. You're jumping around. I mean, especially Rod.
I'm sure it could
Chili
work.
Peppers.
I'm
Those
sure it could
guys,
work.
like, they put on a hell of a show. They're very animated on stage. I don't know, man. I think that
Well, they're very energetic. I think that they just had something holding it on. I have no idea what it is. I mean,
super glue.
I don't know at the time if that was pre-Chad Smith or what. Like, Chad Smith even said at one point where they were doing that still, he went on to do like I don't know if it was Rolling Stone or like a photo shoot with him, and he was like, the first thing they asked me to do, take off all my clothes and put a sock on my man junk, and I'm standing on a rock with them taking a freaking picture with a sock on his junk, and he's like, I'm in the band now, and then he's like, there it is. He's been a drummer ever since, so I mean that's pretty good. It worked out for him,
Let's go ahead and play the next song. They were on the cover of Rolling Stone like that with the socks on. I remember going like, and some of this stuff sounds tame probably to a lot of people in our audience, but at the time
It was shocking.
it was like, we didn't have the internet.
Just think this
You
was
guys
like
have access to porn 24/7.
this was like 40 years ago.
I mean,
now.
when
tell me if you wouldn't go to a live show and 4 or 5 grown men walked out with a sock on their dick, you wouldn't be like, wow, what happened here?
Yeah.
You would be like, damn, they just had clothes on a minute ago. So yeah, it would be shocking, and it would be a WTF moment, and that's why I put it on the list. I think it was.
Absolutely.
I think it
I'm not
works.
saying it's they're not talking about Satan and things like that. They're just basically being 4 dudes having fun, but they're taking it to like another level, which probably wasn't done before. You don't see the Beatles with socks on their dick, you know what I mean?
Well, like I said, we're jaded. We have access to like the most crazy porn 24/7, totally for free anytime we want. So like something like that might seem tame to you young whippersnappers out there, Lily, but
Me.
back in the day, that was like completely shocking. We were like, oh my god. So, anyways, let's go ahead and play a little bit more music. This is Chip and the Charge Up, so we'll be back on the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus.
Wanna know why I'm so charged up? My favorite band's rolling into town. Filthy pennies and crunched up dollars. Bought this ticket, time to get unwound. If music's your reason to be, makes you feel so wild and free. Grab your boots and get ready to hang with me. In the front row at the punk rock show, it's where we're born to go. Meet me in the front row. We'll sing ba 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 ba. pops when eyes meet. Doesn't count if I ain't drenched in sweat. Loud music's my reason to be. Makes me feel so wild and free. Throw some horns if you wanna rock out with me.
I just like the soundtrack.
At the punk rock show, it's where we're born to go. Meet me in the front row. We'll sing ba 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 ba. When the crowd gets loud, there's only one place to be. When the lights go down, you know just where to find me. Meet me in the front row at the punk rock show. It's where we're born to go. Meet me in the front row. Meet me in the front row at the punk rock show. It's where we're born to go. Meet me in the front row. We'll sing ba 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 ba. We'll scream ba 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 ba.
I'm sure he expects it. He's been in the scene a long time.
That is Pittsburgh's own Chip and the Charge Ups, and it's hilarious. Just as the song was playing, I got an invite from Chip
For the Rock for Life.
for a Rock for Life series. I'm like,
There you
Chip,
go.
did you know I was playing your song right now?
He just knew.
He just knew.
I think he did.
He's psychic. He might be listening to the show. I know that they do listen sometimes. So listen to Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. Hey, guys, quick shout out, Wolf's Customs. Go to wolfscustoms.online. Get that custom paint job, custom finish done on your musical instrument so that, you could have your own WTF moment on Zoom
OMG.
in 2020. And we love you, Rock Rage Radio. Go to rockrageradio.com for more great content 24/7. We are talking about the top 10 WTF moments of the 1980s. We are about halfway through the show. We are on number 6. And who is going next?
Tis me.
'Tis the season to be me.
So I'm going to go with the rapping Ramone. March 1989, before calling it quits with the punk band The Ramones, Dee Dee Ramone switched things up and became Dee Dee King with the release of his debut solo album, Standing in the Spotlight, where he was rapping in English and German, and it's awful. He did try to recruit Debbie Harry for a few of the songs because she had a hand in rapping a little bit, but even she couldn't help this album. One of the worst recordings of all time in pop culture.
Wait, the Ramones did something that sucked? That's amazing.
Wow. This was specifically Dee Dee. This wasn't even him as the Ramones.
No, actually, it was being sarcastic. I can't stand Ramones. I'd rather
I assumed.
masturbate a fucking cheese grater than to hear that shit.
Whoa,
That's the first thing.
whoa, that's not
That-
nice.
That's
violent.
one of the things.
That's violent.
Wow.
Bleed me out on that one. That's how deeply I feel.
That's terrible. Oh my god. Okay.
Put your kids to bed. It's going to get rough tonight.
Something that people remember from the 1980s, and again, this is one of those things that was just an 80s thing, and it now we would be like, huh? What? There was a thing called the Cola Wars. Our audience is laughing. Yes.
The Cola Wars.
The Cola Wars. You remember the Cola Wars? Okay.
Yeah.
And
RC and Dr. Pibb. No.
Coke and Pepsi were at war with each other.
Throwing down.
And dude, blind taste tests. I mean, it was insane.
No offense, but if you ever taste Coke and Pepsi, if you even tasted them once, if you can't tell the difference between Coke and Pepsi, you might want to go get yourself checked out because there's a big difference between Coke and Pepsi. Trust
Legit.
me.
But it's
I
just
agree.
the idea that it was such a thing, and it really. But isn't what cola you like? Isn't that just a personal thing? There's people that like Coke. There's people that like Pepsi. And I think that's how the situation ended up shaking out, because you don't see that now. You don't see that kind of thing at all. That disappeared after the 1980s, but it was a total 80s thing. And in the 80s, we had some musical artists taking sides. One of which was Michael Jackson. And, you know, Mike, I mean, God bless him.
Iron Mike, man. Do your thing, Mike.
You know, he had a little mishap. Right, Lily?
He sure did.
He had a little mishap. Him and Richard Pryor, just like Rich, he was imitating Uncle Rich, and he caught himself on fire during the filming of the Pepsi commercial.
Apparently, the king of pop is flammable.
Yes,
he did.
And in a related story related to this as well, Madonna. Now, Lily, maybe do you know? And I do not remember if it was a Pepsi or a Coke commercial she was filming that they used "Like a Prayer."
I don't remember.
Do you remember if it was Coke or Pepsi? I can't remember offhand. But it
Wait, I'll tell you right now. I actually had this on my list. It was Pepsi.
It was Pepsi.
They ran the video like twice, and they had to pull it.
Yeah, they pulled it because
we're not dealing with this.
Well, the reason they pulled it was because the video to the song "Like a Prayer" came out, and people thought
that video
was very sacrilegious. "Like a Prayer" might be my favorite Madonna song.
You and my sister both.
I just think it's a very cool
I like
song.
music, man. What about music?
And so, you know, so there was these crazy things, and so rock stars were getting in
on the game.
And Madonna, what? Michael Jackson and Madonna, right? The two biggest,
pop stars
basically
ever.
the kind of biggest male star and the biggest female star of the 1980s, and they sided with Pepsi.
It's whoever pays the most out.
Poor Coke. Poor Coke.
I'll drink. You pay me $40 million, I'll drink Coke too. God damn it.
So you're a Pepsi guy?
I don't drink either one of them.
You don't drink either one of them. What about you, Lily?
Coke,
Should
all the way.
you.
Coke.
I hate Pepsi.
You hate Pepsi. I would, if I have to choose between the two, I'd probably choose Pepsi. But quite frankly, I don't drink a lot of soda pop, so it isn't a big thing. What about it from our audience?
Crystal Light.
Crystal Light. The audience says Crystal Light.
Wow.
That's not even a thing.
Crystal
not
Light
a choice.
pretty good.
What about Crystal Pepsi?
What about Crystal Meth?
Yeah, remember that?
I remember Crystal Pepsi.
I can get you some in my neighbor's house if you want.
I thought your neighbors were asking for ice cream.
That's the little boys
No,
that are going now.
that's the old ones. The new ones, I think they make meth in there.
So, anyways, you know, there's a
I
couple
put
incidents.
up a fence quicker than Trump. I put up a wall quicker than Trump did, so I locked them out. I locked their asses out of my life.
So, anyways,
Want to get things done? Call the Hawk.
call the Hawk. Anyways, the Cola Wars. Michael Jackson and Madonna involved in the Cola Wars. Good times. Good times. I'd go back to that any day for what we have now. So, who's next?
That's Keith.
Keith.
I think this was probably going to be number one on a lot of people's lists, is number one in your heart. But I think that the decade didn't start off well, because on December the 8th, 1980, John Lennon got shot and killed, which sucks. And it's like he made, you know, some of the greatest music of all time, and probably would have still been making great music to this freaking day, until some jerk off had to come and just ruin it for everybody. So, yeah, John Lennon dying was a sad day. I was very young at the point and probably didn't really remember what was going on, didn't even have any clue what was going on, but it's something that happened in the 80s, and it was a WTF moment for us all, that a day that, you know, will live in infamy, unfortunately. Thank you, Mark David Chapman.
And he even got the last autograph. That jack off.
What?
He got an autograph before he shot him.
Oh, my. Can I have your autograph? Yeah. Okay, now I'm going to shoot you.
Shot him in the back.
Wow.
Yeah, that's figures.
Like a coward.
Oh, that's
Him and Robert Ford should hang out together, but that's quite a bit of distance apart. But yeah.
Well, yeah. And were you going to talk about the other John that died in the 1980s or not?
I had him on my list.
We can. I mean, I might weep, but I mean, that's just something that, yeah, I mean, that was the end of to me, the greatest, arguably, but like I said, in my opinion, the greatest rock and roll band of all time is Led Zeppelin. You can say the Beatles, anybody can say the Stones. In my opinion, Led Zeppelin is the greatest rock and roll band of all time. And arguably, and one of my favorite, and the reason I play drums to this day, John Bonham died of drinking many shots, and that was the end of that. So I mean, yeah, it's definitely
The number
definitely,
of shots was 40.
Yeah.
That's
So,
why I say,
you
hey
know,
man, nice shot.
Definitely can't do that. I mean, I've drank some shots in my day too, but 40 was definitely out of my league.
And
so
it's
he was
40.
definitely-
It was 40 shots of 40% vodka.
Yeah.
40 by 40.
Yeah.
There's a band named the 40 by 40. No,
Is that
but
why?
it's like a deep name. No, you'd have to explain it to people. What's the most shots you ever had, Keith? Come on. Keith's making
Six
fun.
or seven.
What? You've had more than that.
6 or 7.
Dude, I think we had more than that, like that New Year's Eve a couple years ago.
Yeah, that's kind of what I remember.
I
though. I
think
don't
we were
remember
like
that.
in the 10 to 12 range.
All right, I'll give you that. I mean, after like that was one time we were chasing whiskey with whiskey. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. But if you want to, I lost count at that point. I'm talking about times I remember. I have no idea what happened there. I plead the Fifth Amendment because I really don't know. It's hard for me to talk. I can't tell tales out of school because I have no idea what's going on.
I think what I could probably say probably the absolute most shots I ever did in like one evening or whatever. Maybe 10.
That's what I'd have to go with for myself.
Maybe 10. I think that's kind of where all three of us kind of
Yeah.
are. We all like to drink, but I think like
I have to cut myself off with shots because I'll be dead.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you know.
I know people
don't
gonna
how
do.
I don't know. Well, I don't know how he did that because, like, you know, sooner or later, I don't know. Like, I would pass out or I would puke, maybe both. Well, that's actually what happened to him.
Yeah.
He passed out and puked. You know,
He choked on his own
his own vomit. He choked on vomit.
See, I read
that.
stories. There was like even a book I had that said he was drinking. If you remember, if you know what brandy Alexanders were, brandy Alexanders are brandy and milk, and I can see why you would choke on that because milk would be disgusting to drink with anything. But then I've heard argument stories that it was vodka. So I mean, he drank a lot of alcohol in one night, and he was known for his alcohol.
He was a hard drinker.
Consumption. He liked to drink, and being one of the greatest rock and roll drummer of all time, he also liked to party, and he lived life to the fullest and died way too young, and died unfortunately and tragically, and it's was the end of a great run for a great rock and roll band.
Yeah. I mean, I think that is the real impact of his dying, and the real WTF thing is I think a lot of people were like, well, Zeppelin, they're going to go through the 80s, they're going to be like the Stones, they're going to just, keep it going. And then that happened and rug pulled out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's some crazy stuff. What do you got?
I'm going to do Nikki Sixx is Dead, maybe. December 23rd, 1987, he was partying with Slash, Steven Adler, Robin Crosby. He was injected with one last syringe of heroin, passed out cold. They couldn't rouse him back awake. Slash's girlfriend even tried to resuscitate him. The paramedics arrived, gave Sixx adrenaline, but he was clinically dead for 2 minutes. This immediately leaked out to radio. Everybody thought he was dead. The band thought he was dead. He woke up a few hours later, ripped the tubes out, told the cop to go F himself, went home, left a message on his machine saying, "Hey, it's Nikki. I'm not here because I'm dead." And then he shot up again.
Wow.
And he didn't die.
Hardcore. And I would like to talk with the car accident
With Vince.
Vince Neil and
Yeah.
the guy from
Hanoi Rocks.
Hanoi Rocks. I mean, that was another
Razzle.
Those were two very disturbing. That was more disturbing in my opinion. And I think there's a lot of people to this day were very turned off by that behavior and really consider.
Well, he got off clean.
Yeah, he really got off scot-free, and I think a lot of people, in that today would not fly.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, Keith's making the sign of money.
Yeah.
But Keith, I think even no matter how famous you were today, they go after celebrities really hard.
Now
And
they
I think,
do.
Man, I think he would still be in jail.
Yeah.
They would. He would be
And I
under
always
jail.
say the legal system sucks ass. It's got its problems. You can blame a lot of things on the legal system, but I still say to this day, I don't care what color you are, you can get out of a lot of things for a lot of money.
Money talks.
That's the truth, man. There's a list as long as my leg, man, of people that have done crazy shit and have gotten away with it because they have money or was able to come up with the money and get it into the hands of the right people. And instead of going to jail like a normal Joe would, they're walking the streets or they get probation or community service or some dumb shit.
Yeah, that's
So
what he got.
it's the way it is.
Yeah. So I mean, Motley Crue and their antics, those are two of the most disturbing things.
The worst
So,
ones they did.
Really, really crazy. And
I mean, how much jail time did Vince Neil do for killing that dude? He killed
it
somebody.
was in 30 days.
Yeah, 30 days and community service.
Don't hurt yourself, man.
Yeah.
It just goes to show you.
It was just very. I don't wish ill on anybody, but I could. If I was close to those, I was the family of the guy from Hanoi Rock, stuff like that. I would have been very upset. Do we have any others? Because we're running down here, guys. On them, we're running low. What do we got?
The whole PMRC thing with Dee Snider, Frank Zappa, and John Denver coming to bat for music over Tipper Gore and her mad, angry housewives on the sticker that goes on the explicit thing. We talked about the whole thing in the show, but
and just to be clear, Bill Damiano sent me a message to remind everybody that Tipper Gore is Al Gore's wife. I think some people don't put that together.
Oh,
So, yeah.
They don't?
No,
Yeah.
we know that one. I thought that was like just a given.
A lot of people do not know.
I
that.
didn't know that people didn't know
A
that.
lot of people
Yeah.
don't know. Very odd.
Huh.
Very, very strange sort of situation. But we did a whole show on that.
Yeah, that's why I don't wanna
the Filthy
rehash
15s.
the
We
whole
don't need
thing.
to get too far into that. Keith, what do you got?
What about a little band by the name of Jethro Tull winning a Grammy over Metallica for Best Metal Album? So, I mean, I don't know if I've ever considered Jethro Tull a metal band, but they did win Best Metal Band over Metallica. And I remember watching that show, and Metallica just performed live, and they were standing backstage all sweaty with
Ready
their
to come
long
out.
hair and their black T-shirts, and they were giving the rundown of who was the nominees, and they said, Crested a Knave by Jethro Tull, and people were like,
What?
the? And that was a WTF moment for, I think, any metal fan everywhere. And I went to bed, and I think I probably broke something on the way. I don't know.
The Jethro Tull's record company told them not even to show up. There's no way they're going to win.
And I like Jethro Tull. I think it's a cool band. It's a very
They're not
unique
metal,
sounding
though.
band. I mean, nobody rocks the flute like Ian Anderson, but at the same time, and I mean, it's
Wait a
one of
minute,
those
I know
things where Metallica was all over. Metallica was breaking out, man. I mean, it was their time, and it just goes to show you how stupid people that do the Grammys are.
That's any organized
Well,
thing like that.
I just want to say two things. First of all, I disagree. I know of several young ladies that can rock the flute.
Wow, I
way
knew
better
that
than
was
Ian
coming.
Anderson. And second, I want to say that
Put your kids to bed.
We're not talking about the
the
skin
second
flute, Lou.
thing I want to say, you went to skin flute. I didn't say skin flute.
I knew what you meant.
I was talking about the recorder, which we learned in 4th grade. Get your mind out of the gutter.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's just me that rocks the skin flute, I guess.
Yeah, when Lou talks about a hot cross, buns, just know he knows what he's talking about.
Here's how I would sum up that whole situation, because I remember when that happened. I watched it too, and I would say that is a case of the emperor has no clothes. So if you thought that the Grammys were legitimate or had anything to do with music, just like the effing Rock and Roll Hall of Fame,
I love
which
when
is
he
the
gets
biggest
heated about this.
POS in the world, it's the same thing. The Grammys are just as guilty of that. You got morons that don't know their ass from a hole in the wall, and they freaking pick Jethro Tull as a best metal band over freaking Metallica. Especially, that was the And Justice for
Yep.
All, which is about as metal as Metallica gets. Okay? So no Black Album, not even the Black Album stuff. We're talking like when they
The
were
actual good
still-
stuff.
Yeah. Still heavy metal. All right? So
Metal.
okay. Any final mentions, honorable mentions, anything you guys want to say before we wrap up?
Well, Ozzy has a ton of things that he has done, WTF, but I want to just mention the bat again. He didn't actually know that this bat was real that went on stage, and he bit the head off of it.
Oh.
He literally tasted the blood. The bat bit him back, apparently, but he felt all the blood and the head twitch in his mouth and everything. And I know there's a whole bunch of other ones that he's done. I think, was one of the most memorable.
Snorting ants.
Drinking pee. I get it.
Biting
the dove.
Biting the head off the dove at the record. Oh, dude, did you ever hear that story?
Yes, I've seen
You know
pictures from that
You know
story.
that story?
That was the one I was thinking. I thought you were talking, but I was always confused. Well, which one was the dove? Which was the bat?
The
So we
bats
did
was
both
on
then. I
stage.
mean, it's.
The dove, he knew what he was doing.
The dove was like a record.
Oh yeah, that was
label
like a
sign.
record company with a bunch of suits. They were
Yeah.
standing there. That's what Sharon was like
They
talking to
released
him, and they were
doves.
ready to get a contract, and he just like threw a bunch of doves up, and then he just took one and
Bit
bit
it.
the freaking head off. Then
Yeah.
I don't know what else he did after that. Drank the blood or whatever.
Oh
but-
my God, the Christian evangelicals had a field day with that. The dove is a symbol of the Holy Spirit.
Here comes the Prince of Darkness.
Oh my God! Right, studio audience. Remember when that was?
That's what I was just saying.
I mean, that was some mess. Oh, dude, when that happened, I was like, no, I'm never gonna hear the end of it.
Sharon's just like, come on.
Yeah, oh, God. Do we have any others? You guys, Keith, you got any others?
I mean, you gotta go. This isn't very rock and roll, but Milli Vanilli got busted for not singing, and then won a Grammy, and then had to give it back. So, I mean, I don't think it's happened since then. Hopefully, it never happens again. But you take a couple dudes, give them enough money, give them some funky outfits, and make them think that they make the world think they can sing and dance. They could dance, but I mean, singing, not so much. So they had to give the thing back, and I mean, I don't think that's ever been a feat that no one wants to copy again. So, you know.
Look, man. So the Grammys on this list twice. That's all I'm saying. The Grammys have made it twice now on this list. Okay, what does that tell you?
The Grammys are poo.
Exactly. Any others?
That's all I got.
Keith, any other ones?
If you really want me to do an honorable mention, I wanted to say that in 1987, Debbie Gibson released the song "Shake Your Love," which ends up being the greatest song of the '80s. Thank you very much.
Well, come on.
I'm kidding. Jesus Christ.
I thought you were going to say Tiffany. I think we're alone now. Was that even 80s or was that 90s?
That's 80s.
Is that 80s?
That's probably 80s.
That's 80s.
I just remember watching the Debbie Gibson video and laughing my ass off. I was like, what the hell is this shit?
My sister has all those VHS videos of hers. She was obsessed.
There was a lot of things that shocked people, you know, because when MTV came on the air, like you got to see rockers,
do their
musicians
thing.
like all the time. And I remember the first time I saw Boy George, that was a WTF moment for me.
You're like,
I was like, what is happening here? What is going on?
oh, him and his eccentricities.
Yeah, he was played the whole gender bender thing really hard. That hard. I mean, that was just like some,
I mean, that's something we didn't mention. I mean, like, speaking of videos, and you know, in 1980, MTV came on the air. I remember being a kid and watching that, and I was young, man. And I was like, wow, some of these people look kind of freaky. I mean, but it was like the dawn of a new era. It was like video music. There it is, right there. So that came out in 1980, and that aired, and it was like, you know, you watch that. I would be glued to the tube, man, watching that stuff.
The other one that I would say for sure, and I would give an honorable mention to, is the Like a Virgin video.
Like a Virgin performance by Madonna on stage. Or what was that, the Grammys again? No, it was the VMAs. Where she's like rolling around on the floor in the wedding dress.
Well, she does it because she did that in the video.
I just think the live on the show is a little more shocking.
And I just remember going like that, coming on MTV, and going like, what?
What are you watching?
And there's a lion running around. I'm like, what's going on? I was like,
her boy toy belt.
I mean, it was a WTF moment for me. I was totally confused. You know, and I'll remember how all the girls.
But you could probably do a podcast on just the craziness Madonna pulled in the '80s. I mean, she was definitely someone that made her mark in the '80s and then beyond. But she became like a very talked about, for good or for better or for worse, pop artist, and has ended up being like, you know, a very iconic pop artist to this day. I mean, I don't, you know, go and listen to her records or listen to her tunes, but it's the fact where you got to give credit where credit's due. She knew how to push some buttons, man.
Yeah. I mean, like with, you know, she's the predecessor to Britney Spears and Pink and Lady Gaga.
Yeah, it wasn't for that.
She like laid that foundation.
There'd be none of that stuff.
So, you gotta say a little bit. You gotta give a little love to the Mad Donna. Beth says she remembers everything.
Oh, she did 22 shots, if you didn't read that one below it.
You did 22 shots for your 50th birthday. Beth, let's come and invite me. I could have done maybe 5 of those with you.
Depending on what it is.
We have 11
What the hell,
comments.
what's 22 shots of what? Peppermint schnapps ain't going to work.
Beth, what did you do the shots of? We're going to end the podcast. When we're done, you come back on and you tell us what you did.
Peach
So
schnapps.
stick around, guys. If you guys want to hear how many shots Beth did, you need to go to LouLombardiRocks.com. Get into our private group because we're going to close the actual podcast for right now. But Keith, thanks for coming on, brother. It's always good to see you, man. Anything you want to announce? Anything coming up?
I'm going to Vegas. I'll be in Vegas for Thursday through Sunday.
Nice.
Party on, Wayne. And Keith. Oh,
Wow.
What?
what's your name again?
He called me
That's
Keith.
that's Lily.
I've only had one. I'm on one
Yeah,
drink.
you've had 22 shots.
But I
Anyway,
had 22 shots with Beth.
Hot Licks with Lily 6 is on Thursdays at 6 p.m. Eastern on Rock Rage Radio. Download the app for free or go to rockrageradio.com. I interviewed Melissa from Sepsis. She'll be on this week.
The whole show is just.
It might be. I guess you'll have to listen and find out.
All right. Go to LouLombardiRocks.com to check everything out. We got a lot of cool stuff. Shout out to Wolf's Customs, wolfscustoms.online, and shout out to Rock Rage Radio, rockrageradio.com. How about it for our studio audience? Yay! All right, guys, we'll be back next week with another edition of Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. Thanks so much for hanging out. If you have a membership to the Inner Circle, we're gonna take a short break and come back. And if you do not, go to LouLombardiRocks.com and we'll let you right in. We're going to end up the show with Big Ugly, and we'll talk to you guys all next week. Thanks for hanging out.